The story begins in 1940, inside a concentration camp in Germany, where prisoners are being forced to counterfeit Great British pounds. The Nazi government has devised a plan to smuggle these fake notes into Great Britain. This massive injection of money would flood the banking system, crash the economy, and win the war for Germany. The man put in charge of this operation is John Beckett. The scene shifts to the Birmingham small arms munitions factory. A woman arrives for her shift, and since today is her birthday, the other women start singing happy birthday. But before she can even blow out the candles on her cake, a bomb dropped by Germany comes crashing down on all of them. The scene shifts to a man named Tommy Shelby. His helper Johnny informs him about what happened last night. A gypsy family escaping the bombs cut through the fence and got onto their land. Tommy says he wants no one near this house. Johnny tells him that one of the women recognized him from the old days and asked if he knew whatever happened to Tommy Shelby. The lady called Tommy the Rombero, meaning the king of all gypsies. Johnny told her that the famous gangster Tommy Shelby has withdrawn from this world and is writing a book. Tommy's phone starts ringing. He pulls out the wire, but just then his eyes land on someone outside. Tommy steps out and sees a red scarf hanging from a tree branch. It belonged to his dead daughter Ruby. Tommy sees her spirit playing in the garden. He takes the scarf and places it on his older brother Arthur's grave. Johnny comes and tells him that his sister has come to see him. She was the one calling on the phone. But instead of inviting her inside, Tommy walks out himself. Tommy's sister Ada, now a member of parliament, tells him that the people around here only pray to Christ and to him, and neither one answers their prayers. Ada says, "You know, Tommy, you have family who are not ghosts." She asks how long it has been since he spoke to his sons. Ada tells him that his son Charles is on the front line in North Africa. And his other son, his gypsy son, is running the Peaky Blinders like it is 1919 all over again. Worse than Tommy and Arthur ever were. She tells Tommy he has to come back with her and speak to his son before he gets himself hung by the law or lynched by the people. Tommy tells Ada that he sees things. Since Arthur died, it is like a door in his head has blown open and he cannot close it. The scene shifts to the Birmingham small arms factory. A van pulls up and the police say the Peaky Blinders are here and they are going to do whatever they want to do. They break open the factory door. A man steps forward and says the weapons in this armory are bound for the front line. Tommy's son Duke tells him they are volunteer special constables, registered that very morning by the chief inspector of Birmingham Police. Duke's partner Elijah warns that any man obstructing them from carrying out their lawful duty will be identified and their families will be beaten. The man says they do not scare him. Duke attacks him on the spot. He tells the man he fought his war in Flanders and he should not fight him. Duke has all the Stens, Brownings, and dynamite loaded into their van. Meanwhile, Ada arrives at the factory to pay her respects to the people who died here. The crowd turns on her, saying she dares show her face. They tell her the Peaky Blinders did this. On the other side of town, the Peaky Blinders base is a club called the Garrison. Someone from London has come to meet Duke. It is none other than John Beckett. He shows Duke a freshly printed counterfeit £5 note and reveals there are £350 million more where that came from. John needs to introduce this money into the British economy using organized criminal gangs like the Peaky Blinders. In return, the Peaky Blinders will get a 20% cut, which comes to £70 million. John says Berlin would prefer if he were talking to Duke's father. Hearing this, Duke fires shots at John's car and tells him he is in charge now. John asks if Duke is willing to take part in an act of treason that will decide this war for Germany. Duke says the world does not care about him, and he does not care about the world. John tells him that tonight, when the bombs fall, he will have to prove it. Meanwhile, someone has broken into Tommy's house. Tommy loads his gun. All the windows in the house are open. A woman is reading Tommy's books. She tells him she opened the windows to let some of the spirits out. Looking at her face, Tommy is reminded of someone else. The woman introduces herself as Kahlo and explains that it is her dead twin sister's face he sees in hers. Kahlo says she still speaks to her sister, and her sister wanted her to deliver a message. Tommy asks if her sister's name was Zelda. Tommy slept with Zelda in 1914, and Duke is their son. Kahlo tells him his son is in trouble. He is working with evil men who would destroy the gypsy people. Tommy says he does not engage in that kind of work anymore. Kahlo tells him that if he agrees to come back and save his son, her sister and she will help him find peace. On the other side, Ada arrives to meet Duke. She tells him she is coming from the BSA factory. Duke says yes, business has picked up lately. He adds that he also provides a medical service for those in shock and grief. Ada says that is morphine stolen from the hospital. She tells him she should report him. Duke asks to who. Arthur is dead. Polly is dead. And his dad has lost his mind. He tells Ada she is full of empty threats. Ada tells Duke he has the looks, just like his dad. But he does not have the one thing his father had, and that is family. Duke says he never did. But he has something bigger than anything his dad ever did. And he is doing it. The scene shifts to Charlie, a member of the Peaky Blinders. Ada comes to him and says tomorrow she is going to the military police barracks to report Duke. There were witnesses to the robbery of weapons, and she needs testimony. She asks Charlie to give her the addresses of those people. Charlie warns her not to do it, for her own safety. Because the only man who can stop Duke is busy writing a book. Meanwhile, Tommy starts having visions of his war days down in his wine cellar. He has become a tormented soul haunting the border between life and death. Kahlo appears before him, wearing that red scarf, the one she found on Arthur's grave. Kahlo says she heard that Arthur took his own life. She asks if Tommy still sees that moment. Then Zelda speaks through Kahlo's body. She says she sometimes borrows her sister's body. Tommy laughs and calls the whole thing an act. But Zelda tells him the scarf belongs to his daughter Ruby. Zelda has also been to Arthur's grave and spoken with him. Tommy asks what Arthur said. Zelda says she will tell him what Arthur said if he agrees to help their son. Tommy says he cannot help him. He is not that man anymore. Zelda says she will make him that man again. And it will not happen through words alone. Zelda and Tommy spend the night together. They remember how they first met at a fair. And Duke came into this world that very day. Meanwhile, because of the bombing, people are surviving by staying in public shelters. Ada addresses the crowd and says there are people here who witnessed Duke Shelby's robbery. She needs people who will give evidence to her. On Duke's end, John arrives with another man named Virgil, the deputy head of the British Fascist League. Virgil is there to decide if they can work with Duke. He asks Duke about his plan. Duke explains he will arrange 3 canal boats. Coal boats are never searched, and the people with the boats are his kin. Virgil says if they say no, he wants certainty. He says he understands gypsies have rules about family. Duke tells him accidents of blood do not concern him. Just then, John brings up that he has learned Virgil had been talking to his mistress and can no longer be trusted. John confirms he verified this with the mistress herself. She is now dead. Duke shoots Virgil. The second gunshot kills him completely, but John tells him to fire one more. So Duke empties the entire gun into Virgil. John tells Duke there will be no repercussions for what he has just done, as he is working with some very powerful people. He tells him to take a boat to Liverpool tomorrow and collect the money. For now, Duke will dispose of the body. Meanwhile, Kahlo tells Tommy that Arthur told her he was not alone that night. The moment Tommy hears this, he says this is where the performance ends. But Kahlo says Tommy already knows Arthur was not alone that night, because Tommy was there with him. Arthur wanted to borrow money from Tommy. He had a gun, and he stole Tommy's car. Tommy begins to speak. He says there was a fog. Arthur was injured and still wild when Tommy found him. Arthur was so high that he started to believe Tommy was the devil. Tommy says it was an accident, and that is when the door in his head blew open. Kahlo tells him they can give him the peace that he wants. He cannot save Arthur or Ruby, but he can save his son. The next morning, when Tommy wakes up, Kahlo is already gone. Tommy takes the red scarf and places it back on Arthur's grave. Tommy gets ready. He puts on his cap. Johnny stops him and says he is not ready for this world. He asks what weapons Tommy is taking with him. Johnny says he will drive and go with him. On the other side, John comes to see Duke again. He tells him that this morning there will be another body to dispose of. Ada is taking witness statements against him and planning to deliver them to the military police. If that happens, Duke will hang. Now Duke has 2 options: 70 million pounds or the noose. Ada heads out with her son toward the military police barracks. Duke starts following her. He steps into a telephone booth, ready to shoot Ada. But Duke cannot bring himself to pull the trigger. He follows them again. And just then, a car pulls up in front of Ada. Duke calls out from behind, telling Ada to run. But from the front, John shoots Ada. At that same moment, Tommy tells Johnny to stop the car. He steps out. Ada is standing right in front of him. He understands that Ada is dead. The police tell Tommy that his sister is dead and his son has information. Tommy sends Johnny to the mortuary and tells him to stand guard over her. Tommy goes to the Garrison pub himself. He turned the music off and says he needs to speak with the owner of the pub. But the young men inside have no idea who he is. One of them tells Tommy to turn the music back on. He says Tommy is going to dance with him right here. Elijah spots Tommy. He tells everyone to stay calm. He introduces Tommy as Tommy Shelby. But this kid has no idea who Tommy Shelby is. The ones who do know have already gone quiet. The kid pulls out a gun and says dance. Tommy reaches into his pocket and pulls out a hand grenade. He pulls the pin and drops it into the kid's pocket. The kid explodes just outside the pub. Tommy asks Elijah about Duke. Tommy finds Duke and grabs him. He tells him he has crossed every line. He stole from his own. He sold women. He stole medicine from children. Duke says he did not kill her. He will not kill his own kin. He says he sinned because sin is all Tommy ever left him. Tommy and Duke start fighting. Tommy overpowers him and tells him to talk. Duke tells him about Ada's driver, a Morris with 3 bullet holes in it. The driver came to Duke with a plan. Tommy asks him to tell him what plan. Tommy goes to the mortuary. He tells Johnny to give him the gun. The man who shot Ada will come here, because he will guess that Tommy will come to say goodbye to his sister. Tommy tells Johnny to pass a message to his son. Duke is to take the guns he stole to Charlie's yard. Tommy looks at Ada. He says he confesses to her. He killed their brother Arthur. It was not an accident. He killed him because he was full of booze and rage. Tommy had a moment when he could have spared him, but he wanted to be free of Arthur. Tommy makes a promise in front of Ada. From this bad will come some good. Just then, the sound of a car comes from outside. Tommy steps out, tears still in his eyes. John is outside with an automatic gun. The two of them open fire on each other. Tommy moves toward John. John says Hitler has a plan. All the garbage growing among them, infecting them, needs cutting out. Let the good stuff grow. He says what he is doing is a good thing, Tommy. End the war with banknotes instead of bombs. Tommy tells him his gun is about to run out of rounds. John fires his last bullets. He releases the horses and escapes behind them. Tommy gets on a horse and rides through the streets of the city. Everyone who sees him greets him. On the other side, Kahlo reaches Duke. She tells him his father will come back and save him. So now is his chance to become king. She says Duke will fight side by side with his father. And in the fog, he will kill him with the bullet that has his name on it. She tells Duke that Tommy wants peace. And he knows in his soul that a bullet is the only thing that will bring him peace. And as his eldest son, Duke will take the name Rumbero. Just then, Tommy arrives outside the pub. Kahlo tells him Duke will help him. Duke sees Tommy and tosses a coin. Tommy pours drinks for the two of them and says he has heard Duke is going to help him. Together, they all go and cremate Ada inside a 4-wheel wagon, following gypsy rituals. Later that night, Duke calls John and tells him Tommy is coming for him. He knows where John is. Duke says he will call again when they reach Liverpool. In return, Duke wants the 70 million. Tommy is met by a man named Stagg, who calls himself the king of Liverpool's docks. Stagg tells him John is in a warehouse. Stagg asks what is inside that warehouse. Tommy tells him it is a weapon that could lose them the war. They will win no medals, but they will have done a good thing. Tommy calls Duke and introduces him to Stagg. He says he has decided he can trust Duke. Tommy plans to have the Blinders travel by barge to Liverpool to confront Beckett's Nazi mercenaries, while he travels through a disused tunnel to surprise Beckett personally. Both teams are to strike simultaneously at midnight. Tommy writes in his book that his eldest son Duke should be his natural heir. But tonight will be a test that reveals the truth about him. Duke will write the final chapter of this story. Tommy tells Kahlo that before he goes, he wants her to read his palm. Kahlo reads his palm. Tommy asks what is going to happen to him tonight. Kahlo says tonight he will have peace. Tommy pulls out his gun. He tells her he has known her intention since she first came to his land. Because a long time ago, Polly Gray told Tommy that if a blackbird flies into his house, death will come. and Kahlo's name means blackbird. Kahlo tells him tonight either he will kill Duke or Duke will kill him. Tommy enters the tunnel. On the other side, Duke reaches John. John asks him about Tommy's plan. Duke gives him a false plan. He says they will be armed with Stens and Brownings, all concealed in the hold of the boats. But in reality, everyone has already gotten off the boats. Only Stag remains on board. The tunnel Tommy is moving through has been closed for 50 years. It collapses right on top of him. Meanwhile, John and Duke start drinking. John's mercenaries are standing ready by the boats. Tommy regains consciousness under the rubble. He tries to dig his way out. The visions start coming again. He pulls himself free from the debris with just 5 minutes left until midnight. Stag reaches the warehouse and lights a fuse. He jumps off the boat. The mercenaries open fire on him. The boat reaches the edge of the warehouse and explodes. Seeing the blast, John pulls his gun on Duke. Duke says he tossed a coin. The coin told him to betray his father, but he disobeyed the coin. He decided to do the right thing. John asks what kind of father leaves his son behind. And just then, another explosion goes off. This one was set by Tommy. Duke escapes from there. Tommy's men arrive to take out the remaining mercenaries. Tommy joins them. Duke comes to him and asks where he was. Midnight came and went. Tommy is already preparing another bomb. He tells Duke to get out of there. Tommy places the bomb among the fake cash. It all explodes. The notes burn down. Seeing everything fall apart, John gets into his car and tries to flee. But Tommy is standing right in front of him. John fires at him. Tommy shoots John in the head. Duke pulls Tommy away from the front of John's car. He says they did it, dead. But Tommy is heavily injured. Tommy picks up the gun and hands it to Duke. He tells him to use the bullet she gave him. By now, everyone else has arrived. Duke says he cannot do it, but Tommy insists. Duke shoots Tommy. Tommy's life flashes before his eyes. Stag drops to his knees. Duke orders everyone to collect the cash and burn it. Johnny says yes, Rumbero. After that, Tommy's funeral takes place. Kahlo gives Tommy's book to Duke. Tommy had written that his horses should be given to someone who has no work for them. His bullets to someone who has no names to write on them. His gun to someone who has no use for them. He writes that throughout it all, he had his family. They are reunited now. Burn his body and let the ash blow. He is free. And with that, this story comes to an end. Let us know in the comments how you liked this explanation. Do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.